And Sean, you are the president of BACA.
Hi, good
And
evening, Marcia.
yes, good evening. Welcome to the Marcia Week Show.
Pleasure to be here again.
Yes, can you just tell us, because I'm always saying the C in BACA is a calypso, but it's the Barbados Association of Creators and
Creatives and artists. Yeah,
and this is your second time round being the president, isn't it?
yes, it is. Yeah,
Wonderful.
and my
Wonderful.
I was the first president of the association. Was re-elected. So my first stint as president ran for 3 years, and
Mm-hmm.
then there were two other presidents in between there, and I am back as the president of BACA again.
Yes. And what does BACA do? Can you give us in a nutshell?
Sure. So BACA does several things. There's several arms of BACA. The first one I will mention because it's very important because we've seen throughout the years where entertainers will be very popular, we've seen on stage, and everybody thinks, they say all that glitter is not gold. And you would see that when a lot of entertainers, when they get sick, when there's a house fire, when there's some form of emergency crisis tragedy,
Yes.
then there's a need then for artists to come together and hold a benefit concert.
Correct.
From the first year as president of BACA, one of the things that we started was what we call the benevolent fund. So we now have a tribute concert that feeds in to the benevolent fund. So that's the BACA. Exactly. This what you're seeing here on the screen is our benevolent concert for this year. And each year, what we do is that we pay tribute to a cultural icon. So the first persons that were honored was Richard Stout and the Mighty Grainer. Then last year it was Jennifer Seeley, and our friend Betty West.
Okay. Oh, wonderful.
This yes. So it's,
So
it's not
you do.
this it's not just limited to singers. It's not just limited to artists. As you see, Betty West, Jennifer Seeley, as it relates to dance, Betty West, as it relates to being a stalwart in crop over, as it relates to the bands and being one of the top designers. I think she won a lot of the awards last year as well. This
Yes.
year, we have two iconic Barbadians, Shirley Stewart, famous for the song "Walk Away from Love,"
Mm-hmm.
and Myrna Nels, the theatre arts practitioner. Myrna has worn many, 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 many hats,
Yes.
and we think that these two people are deserving of backup paying tribute to them
And that's
this
going
year.
to be on May 31st. Well, let me just congratulate Baka for the great work that you're doing. And as you
Thank
said,
you.
it's not just Calypsonians, and you're looking after the whole man, the whole person. But let me go ahead and welcome Ross. Ross to the Marcia Week show. Welcome, Ross. Good night.
Hey, good night, man. Great to be here.
Good night. And Ross, you are an artist.
Yes, please.
Ross, so tell us what do you do? You dance? You do ballet? What do you do?
No, please. I am a calypsonian. I'm a soca artist. I just love and do music in general. So I'm an artist all around.
Okay, wonderful. Well, Dave, let's just hear a little bit of Ross here.
We need to hold up each other. Black and white must come together. No matter who we all are one blood. There's no reason why we can't show love. There's no other way that we can exist. We can't go on taking life like this. I say we all in this together. It's all for one and one for all.
Wonderful. And you know what? This is the good thing about this. Thanks, Dave. The good thing about this is that we have lyrics that we can actually sing. And it sounds like a song. Well, let me very, very good, Ross. And I know your mom and dad. Right. So everybody out there, this is Donella's son. Am I correct in saying that?
Yes, please. Yes,
And
please.
you can see it all over his face. And Mr. Richard, because you see, I can't call him that other name. He tells me don't call him that other name.
Richard Antonio.
Richard Antonio, and he's the
Yeah.
one that talks about the song called, we play it a lot on here, Dave, called In Charge. How does it go? Who's guarding
The
the
guards.
guard? Who's
Yeah.
guarding the guard? So that's his son, all right? And so his offspring is here.
Hmm.
Ross.
Yes,
Wonderful.
please.
Well, we have without welcome, Ross. We have with us also Daniel Boyce. So Daniel, can I put you in the studio now? Okay, wonderful. Hi, Daniel. Good evening. Welcome to the Marcia Week Show.
Hey, good evening. Thanks for having me again.
Yes, Daniel, I'm sure that the viewers remember you, but just tell them a
I hope
little bit
so.
of how you are involved in the creative arts. What do you do?
Well, yeah, most prominently, I'm a film director, so I direct films, whether that's feature length, short films, TV shows, and in the music space, I direct music videos across dancehall and the soca genre.
Yes, and I know that you do music videos, for artists all throughout the Caribbean region.
Yes,
And yes, and you do, I mean, excellent work in terms of your the technical stuff. Very good.
thank you.
Now, I am sure, unless you live under a rock, everybody, all three of you on this panel this evening, you would have heard the discussions, you would have seen, King Bubba, his video, you've seen Faith's video and her song. And then I know that, Daniel, you sent me some others as well that's out there, right? So this is Dave was just showing you a little bit of Daniel, one of Daniel's films. Okay, that yes. So that's one of his films there, Daniel Boyce. Well, there's a lot of discussion that's happening, gentlemen. And the first question I want to pose here, Sean, I'll put this to you because you're the president of BACA, right? How do you respond to claims that the Krapova content has been overly sexualized? How do you respond to that?
I think I think for years now, Marcia. I don't think it's limited to crop over. I
Mm-hmm.
think it's a societal problem issue. When you look at marketing as a whole for a very long time now, at least the last 15 to 20 years, if you're selling a car, there must be a woman in a bikini, breast must be showing, legs must be showing, you know what I mean? So there's been a over sexualizing in most of the marketing arenas, I would say. As it relates
Mm-hmm.
to crop over, remember I remember there was a phase where everything was jump on wave, jump on wave, jump on wave.
Yes.
And then after that, following that, everything was bumper, bumper, bumper. So it started with the bumper songs, and then it moved from the bumper songs to the rum songs, and then the rum songs was tying in then to the juking song. So we had the bumper trend, then we had the rum songs at the same time. Everything was juk 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 juk. Lyric would tell you about juking down the place. So when you get songs like that, you saw the videos that were corresponding, even to the bumper songs. The bumper songs was always in more recent times you would hear people making reference to the 6:30 dance, and you would see the
Yeah.
women bending over and stuff like that. But even if you look back at some of the bumper songs, you would see similar dances, similar postures by females. It started with female dancers, but then female artists were then doing the same thing. It's very interesting when I think of songs like "Woman" by Adonijah. At that point in time, um, and then you had Queen Rita who was saying, "Woman, respect yourself." So you had a time where if certain songs were sung, female artists would push back against these type of lyrics, these type of
Mm,
songs. And
okay.
we've come full circle now where female artists, as you said, Faith Calendar is one of the artists under the spotlight right now. It's not just King Bubba. But for several years now, and it's not just Faith alone, there are several female soca artists that will be seeing things a lot worse about themselves or encouraging men to do a lot worse things to them than men would have ever sung about before in the past. So you're seeing definitely this the before you again if you look back at Mighty Grainer, the King of the Road, had the most road march songs. You look at his song, there's always a storyline that was a thing of I gotta say no, it was a thing of the past because we moved
Right.
away from telling stories and story lanes, like I said, to jump a wave, bumper, jump, rum, and basically as you are asking, where soca songs have become very much sexualized.
Right. So I love the fact that you and and I can see the progression as you were speaking. I was following. So let me go to Ross. Ross, you
Yes,
are you're the youngest one among us all here.
yes,
You
please.
know, and then me. So, but Ross, I
Yes,
mean,
please.
as a young man, right?
Uh-huh.
Can I ask you how old you are?
Just turned 23.
Just turned 23. Oh my goodness. So Ross, you're 23. Do you really believe that some of the content is a bit over sexualized? The content that's coming out of crop over? Do you think so?
Um, it is in a way oversaturated, but for me, I can see it comfortably that over the years of me growing up, there has always been some form of sexualized content in music. Um, because I was born in the early 2000s, I was born in, as Apache said, the jump and wave, bend over, push back era of soca,
Mm-hmm.
right? So that is what I was really like acclimated to. So
Mm-hmm.
it for me is it wouldn't seem like over sexualized because this is what I've been hearing all the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, Also the situation with King Baba and Faith. I only recently heard King Baba's song. I heard um Faith's song earlier because of the whole Guyana situation. But with King Baba's song, I wasn't really expecting that, and I could understand where the outrage is coming from.
Okay. So hold a minute. So you said you heard the song. Did you see the video?
Yes, I saw the video recently. Yes.
Yes, and you heard. And so why you said you were not, even though you said from you were a child. I mean, and I want everybody to listen because this is what I love, the honesty of young people. Because we're on here acting all, and he said, this was from when I was a child, the thing was over
Yeah.
sexualized till now. No, but what about this that starts that you just said you weren't expecting it? What about this particular
Um.
stuff?
For for
Think
me,
about it.
for me, growing up hearing King Baba, I already know what to expect. Jump and wave, rum. Um. Put up your hand, walk up, skin. I know to expect that from King Baba, but with this one, it was a lot more forward. If I,
When you
for
say
lack of
forward, tell me, I want you to spell it out. When you say forward,
um,
what you mean?
with the music that he usually puts out is like subliminals. He doesn't usually just put it
Ah.
out there like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then seeing the video and hearing the lyrics and like really like listening to it, I was like a little confused as to why it needed to go there.
At
Um,
23, you felt a little confused.
yeah,
Well,
I felt a little confused, but then this is also what is being asked of from the artists by
oh,
DJs,
by the DJs.
promoters,
You hold it right
etc.
there. Let me go to we are coming back to you. I'm coming back, and I want us to be very honest on here tonight and say what we really think. And I think it's very, very important that we do. Now, Daniel, I know Daniel is driving. But we can still see you, Daniel. Thank you for the
Mhm.
sacrifice.
No
Um,
problem.
so Daniel, I want to ask you the same thing. Daniel,
Sure.
you're a little older than Ross, I believe, right?
Yeah, I think about 9 years, 9 years
Nine
older.
9 years older.
Mhm.
And would you say that that the crop over content is over sexualized generally, or just a part of it? What do you think?
I think I would say it's overly sexualized. But there were always sexual references within the music, right? And it, like
Hmm.
having sexual undertones in the music is not a surprise. But there used to be nuance, they would double entendres, they would hide it, you
Yeah.
know what I mean? There was nuance to how they brought across the lyrics, right?
Hmm.
That nuance is gone right out the door. They're telling you exactly how they feel, what they want, how they want to. It's gross. At one point I remember, and it wasn't just soca music. I would listen to artists like Usher, Nelly, Shaggy when I was, a kid, and I would sing the songs. And it was only as I got older I realized what I was singing about. They would mask it behind artistry and creativity. Now it just seems as though they're being, raucous for being raucous sake, and just trying to get some kind of shock value, or I don't know. To me, the artistry has gone out the door.
So you're a millennial, you're a young man.
Hmm.
You are saying looking at because I thought I would think, I would think, Daniel, as a young man, this is the kind of video that you would
No,
like to
no,
see. I'm being honest too.
no,
I would
no,
think
no,
that
no.
no, no, you don't. This is not. Listen, Ross, I'm stereotyping the guys. I would think that you and Ross would love this kind watching this kind of video. I don't understand. You're saying it's gross, Daniel. I mean, I don't understand that.
For me, it's time and place. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Back in the day, you could watch a soca music video, and you could watch it in public. I couldn't put
Mm,
that video
Exactly.
on my phone in public. It's almost like
mm,
softcore pornography, in my
Yeah.
opinion, at least.
Correct. Agree.
It's just it's too much.
Um,
It's too much for me.
for me
Ross,
though,
Ross. Mm-hmm.
yeah, for me, I will say that the content of the video, like the women dancing, etc. This isn't something that's necessarily new. It is happened in a lot of big artists, videos such as Marshall, Lyric. These are the stuff that the young ladies do in the dances because this is what they are asked to do.
By
So
whom? Who is asking them to do it,
by
Ross?
the art, obviously by the artists, by the producers, not necessarily producers, but the video directors. Sorry, the video directors, etc. Because whoever shot the video obviously knew what King Bubba wanted, what Trey Breezy wanted, and they helped them to execute that vision.
Mm,
So, although there is fault at the artist, it's not all at the artist
mm,
because the videographer also never said no, I ain't shooting this.
mm. Interesting. So the video, no, but Daniel, hold a minute there, Sean, because Daniel is shake. Daniel has done a couple. Give me what's the name of the guy in Jamaica? It's not Vibes Cartel.
Which
You
one,
did
Alkaline? But I've done some
Alkaline.
stuff for
I've
Vibes
seen.
too.
Huh?
I've done some stuff for Vibes as well. I did some stuff for Alkaline, and I'm sorry, I have to disagree with that take wholeheartedly,
What are you
wholeheartedly.
disagreeing with? What are you disagreeing
That
with?
that that the, the point that the artist is not entirely to blame, right? I'll add some nuance to that, right? So we most recently we did a video with Alison Hines last year, right? Which is one of the most popular soca music videos to come out of Barbados in quite some time. I think as it stands, we've got 610,000 views on that. Alison
Mm,
and myself were up for Caribbean Music Video of the Year Award in New
Mhm.
York at the Caribbean Music Awards. That's been recognized as a fantastic video. You can play that video in front of your kids. You can play that in front of your mother. You're not gonna see
what is it?
any
What is it?
underwear.
What is it?
It's called Born with It.
Born with it. Born with it. Okay, so
Yes,
Dave,
it's called
look
Born
at it
With
and
It.
see if we can play it. But go
You'll
ahead.
see, you'll see no, skimpy underwear. There's dancing in it. There's dancing in it for sure, but there's no focus on women's behind being out. It's a wonderful video. It's got culture in it, and it's been clean. And
Mm,
the thing about that is, so I had the opportunity to pitch for that video, and my concept was clean, and we won it. But there's a part of this that you have to consider. Who shot that video for King Bubba and Trey Breezy? How do you know that that just wasn't one of their friends with a cell phone, in the truck? That happens a lot in the industry, right? It doesn't have to be a video director shooting that. But then there's also the pressure from the artist as well, because all right, as a video director, I want to feed my family. So if I tell the artist, okay, I don't want to shoot softcore pornography, and he says, all right, no problem. I'll get my friend to shoot that with a cell phone and pay him instead. Is the artist not to blame for that though? Because ultimately they have a massive say in the direction of their visuals, right? At the end of the day, the artist has to okay that. I can put forward a concept, I can put forward my idea, but the artist has to be the one to say, you know what, yep, I like that, or nope, I don't like that. Me as a video director is just a suggestion. At the end of the day, the artist makes the final decision.
Sean, what do you say? What do you say on that? I mean, Ross is introducing an interesting point here that basically is it's what probably the producer wants, what the video director wants, and don't put it all on the
The
artist.
artist.
What are you
What are you
saying, Dave?
saying? Well, I would have to agree with Daniel on this one. As an artist, when I go into the studio to record my song, I work with producers that I trust their opinion, but at the end of the day, I have the final say as the artist. And likewise, when I would have done music videos, again, as the artist, as long as the artist is the one who is the executive producer, then you dictate what happens. You work with a director, music video director that you trust, but
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the day, as the artist, you have the final say. That's just how it is. Like I said, especially if you're the executive producer, if you're the person who is shelling out the money.
Yes, yes. Dave, just play a little bit. We're hoping that we're not going to see. I don't know, family, if you need to move the kids. Daniel says no, just a little bit, and then we go to Ross.
It's the Cooper and the Queen of Soca, and this one is the answer. Oh Lord,
My great great grandmother passed it down. My great grandmother passed it down. My mother gets it from my granny and mommy gave it
so
to
let me
me.
go.
Cause we was born with it, born with it. West Indian girls was born with it. Born to walk up the big bam bam, stick it, drop it and tremble. Cause we was born with it, born with it. Caribbean girls was born with it. Born to wind up the big bam bam, born to make it up simple.
Oh Lord,
You want to know how me bump I get so proud. Me mother give me this for that. I thank God. This thing here real man. This is
All right, all right, all right. Yeah. But I can see what you mean. It can be funny. It can, and the truth is that black women are blessed. We are endowed. A lot of people doing all kinds of things, which we're going to talk about black women at the end of this whole thing. But we were all blessed. It's something that's passed on. It's a fact. It's what it is. So I can understand that. But let me, Ross.
Yes, please.
Yeah, do you think, Ross, that Barbadians, that we should be as outraged as we were about gun violence? You remember, you would have been probably about 20, a couple years back during COVID, or probably about 18, when there was a big uproar in Barbados over Little Rick and Peter Ram when they were on the Trojan Rhythm. You remember that? And
Yeah, I remember
they
that.
were pushing out the gun lyrics, and people were outraged, and they were told they had to apologize, and so on. Do you think, as a country, we should be as outraged about the over sexualized content in soca as we are about gun and violence in the music?
Um, I necessarily go to the point where I say everybody has everybody has their opinions, and everyone doesn't agree on everything.
Mm-hmm.
The way how we as a people handle certain situations, I feel like we could handle them a lot better.
Explain.
Um, like with the same Trojan rhythm incident. Um, a lot of these songs that were out on it were, yes, they were violent, but these are the things that you hearing playing in parties. You hearing the younger folks. They aren't necessarily reaching for
Mainstream.
the age, right. So they're going for a younger demographic when they put out these songs, and the older demographic take it out of, like, they don't take it well at all, because this is not what they are used to. They are used to more sensible music for,
More
you know.
sensible.
No,
So
no, we being real. We being
yeah,
real
yeah.
is the truth of the matter is not smart to go and sing about how much guns you have and then expect not to be scrutinized about it. Is not smart.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so the older generation do get outraged a lot, because they are used to doing and seeing a certain level of um respect put out there for the country, etc.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So they
So
have they have they have stuff to look back on, like red plastic bag. They have
ah.
grinder, etc. And these
Mm-hmm.
people have never put out anything like this, and they are big. So I think that is where the older generation is coming from when they say, like, you don't need to over sexualize things. You don't need to put
Mm-hmm.
um gang violence, etc. into a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
But then from my generation's point of view,
Mm-hmm.
this is what they grew up on, and this is what they're like, you know.
So you're saying
So,
your generation grew up on gun music and violent
like,
music and
we,
and
we
and,
grew up on
and
Movado and Vibes Cartel, Alkaline, as um the guy there said. We
uh-huh.
also grew up on a like Squash. These are the people. These songs that they put out are a lot of gun music. K-Man 6, a guy from Trinidad got shot when he left Barbados for a show. He got back to the island, and right out the airport he was shot. And all of his friends died, and he got away. This is what they live. We in Barbados don't necessarily, the artists that we have don't necessarily go through that, or I should say I don't see them going through it. So is not going to seem like it's coming from an authentic place, because they're just seeing other people doing it, and they feel like
Okay.
they're getting through off of this, so there's what I'm gonna do.
Mm.
You know?
So this is interesting, Sean, because Ross is saying that really this is a music that they grew up on. He's now 23, and he said, well, all his life, this is a music that they like. They like the gun music. I think though that he thinks that the Ross, is it fair to say you think the King Bubba is pushing it a bit too far? Are
Yeah,
you saying right?
in
You
my in
think
my
it,
opinion.
in your opinion, at 23, think that, but he's saying really, why would he be outraged about the gun music? Because he grew up on it. You didn't grow up on it, Sean. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I didn't grow up with these artists. We didn't have. I didn't have Alkaline when I was a youngster. I didn't have Movado. I didn't have Vibes, but we had Bounty Killer. You know, when you listen to Vibes Cartel, you listen to Movado, you hear the influence that Bounty Killer had on them. They had Ninja Man in my time, so it was Ninja Man. Like I said, Bounty Killer. Even though Beanie Man was quite versatile, Beanie Man has some gun tunes as well. All the artists in that particular every era have,
Mm.
especially in dancehall, and you know that that's my background. I would have done gun songs as well, and to 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 be trending at the time. You didn't use the word trending back then,
To be
you know,
trending.
to be
And
trending.
that's
Yeah.
what Ross is talking about. But go ahead.
Um, but you know, on one hand I agree with Ross, but there's a wide cross section of young people that haven't drunk the Kool Aid. You know what I mean? So there's a wide cross section of people that drink the Kool Aid, and that's what they like. They always say, people like what they know. And that's why DJs on radio stations have a huge responsibility. DJs in the fats, DJs in the parties have a huge responsibility. We would try to bring, as artists, we would try to bring the excuse. We never ask anybody to be their role model. But the fact of the matter is that when you are a public figure, even yourself, Marcia, you're a public figure now because of this program. So there's a sense of responsibility that we have to carry as artists, whether we are actors, actress, whether we are like Daniel, who is into film, whether you're artists like me, artists like Ross. As artists, we have, there should be, I should say, a sense of social responsibility. So just how corporate Barbados should have a sense of social responsibility where they give back as far as the money that they're making, and they sponsor football, they sponsor cricket, they sponsor schools and different events like that.
Mm-hmm.
For us as artists, we have to be socially responsible as well. Why?
Mm-hmm.
Because when you look at gun violent songs, when you look at domestic violent songs, when you look at overly sexualized songs, it affects everybody. I don't care what walk of life you're from. Why? Let me explain. If you have kids killing kids, as we are seeing now in Barbados, right? You got children killing children, boys killing boys, because at the end of the day, that's what they are. They're boys killing boys. What that does, as we heard just last week from the QEH hospital, it puts a strain on the hospital. It puts a strain on the system. If then to respond to this, to the excessive stabbings that we have, the excessive shootings that we have, and not even talking about the homicides, just the amount of shootings that you don't even hear on the radio, in the news, but you hear on the street. So
Mm-hmm.
anybody who was on the street, they will know about the amount of shootings that you don't even hear on or see them. You don't see them in the paper. You don't hear them on Sarcom News Network in the afternoon. But the hospital, especially accident and emergency, they experience the overload of this culture. Now, there's from the get go,
Yeah.
music has always been tied to culture. Wherever
Music.
there's a culture, music has been tied to it. Music is like the gasoline that fuels the vehicle.
Mm.
Music fuels it. So, like I said
Okay.
on this program before, there was a subculture that was identified, I would say, going as far back as 10 years. This subculture was starting to emerge. And when you don't say anything, then the subculture surfaces to the top
So,
and it
top,
becomes a
yeah,
culture.
yeah, you
And
said that.
then
That's pretty profound. Yeah, you said that before.
that gives kudos or credits to what Ross is saying. When it's emerging and you don't say anything, then you have a generation that's what they're exposed to. Having said that, the as it relates now to the over sexualized music, as it relates to soca, as it relates to dancehall as well, because it's not just limited to soca, as Daniel was saying, it's across all the genres as well. It's not limited to the Caribbean either. But when you have then over sexualized music, then what you have is children getting children. So they're not
Yeah.
mature enough to be parents. They're not
Mm-hmm.
in a financially stable position to be able to support these children. So
Yeah.
again, what does it do? It puts strain on the system. When
On
I
the
say
whole
the
system.
system,
But we're going to get there. We're going to get there because
yeah,
we're going to get there because that's really where we're going, right? So just hang on there, Mr. Carter. Let me go to Daniel. Daniel, do you? I mean, there's a lot of cry about the level of violence in the song. Some of the things that I read, I tell you, I don't know. I mean, we're in different generation, but I'm like, "Ugh." Some of the Trinidad music and thing, I'm like, oh my God, it's Russ, I scared. I scared just reading the lyrics, Daniel. Um, but I realize there's a lot more outrage over that than the the soft porn that we're seeing in soca music, whether listening to it or viewing it. Should the outrage be similar, Daniel?
I believe the outrage should be similar, me personally. And I think I've said this a few times on this program. I've said that we criticize and we outcry and we bring down the dancehall music because of the gun violence in it, but we don't look at the soca music and speak about the the sexual content of the music. And it's not just music. Look at the crop over costumes. I mean, come on, the women are essentially naked now. You know what I mean? So
But why?
it's
But why are you concerned about that? Why should we be concerned about that? If we think of, I'm think about the gun music. I can see, listen to me, listen to Trinidad music or
Mhm.
dancehall music,
Mhm.
dancehall lyrics. I mean, I feel that that could influence a young person to pick up a gun. I mean, Ross might think differently, but somebody might say, but it's just a little, it's just women
Is
and
it
and
is
and
it though? Is
oh,
it because
but why should we
does
be
that,
so concerned? Why?
because does that not encourage our children to try to replicate that behavior? Does that
Exactly.
not increase the possibility of that? There's one thing that I see, right, that drives me insane when it comes to Kaduma. And so you would have a grown woman dancing, right? Walking up, whatever it is. And people would encourage a little boy to dance behind her. God forbid a grown man does that behind a little girl. But it's the same thing. It's the same thing. The same public outcry that we should have when a grown man does that behind a young girl, we should have that when a young boy is behind a grown woman. It's the same thing. So regularly we have a double standard, right? If we can see that there's something wrong with a grown man replicating that kind of behavior on a little girl, we got to protect our little boys too. And I feel like that needs to extend to
Agree.
the music. We can't be listening to the radio and overtly having sexualized lyrics, man. Like, you play the radio and bringing your kids home from school and stuff, and it's a gamble, it's a risk. You know what I mean? Because, they're not trying to hide the sexual content in the music. So
Hmm.
that's, for me, that's infiltrating our kids' minds and encouraging them to go to school and try stuff. In my opinion, at least.
Well, I mean, the child care board is saying that they're seeing an increase. Ross, they're seeing an increase in the numbers of children from 7 years old who are doing a lot of, it seems to the adults that they're watching porn. They're seeing a trend of sexual abuse cases where children performing sexual acts on other children. Now, I
Uh-huh.
know, as we've said, Ross, that we know that this happen all the time, but the child care board is saying that they're seeing an increase. Do you, I mean, would you ever think that it could be correlated or connected to the videos that the kids are watching or the
I
music?
I am not saying that it's not correlated, that
Mm-hmm.
is not tied together, but we also have to look at the fact that this is a digital generation, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Every time the child cry, you can put a phone in their hand. Every time the child like upset, you can put a phone. If they're doing too much, you can put a phone or a tablet in their hand. They're
Mm-hmm.
obviously going to find some stuff. You can see pop-ups coming up. Pop-ups are not. You can't stop pop-ups. Most of the pop-ups that come up are sexual content. You know, you find one or two for Alibaba or but it's always sexual content. So you can't as I was saying, you can't fully put the blame on the music. The music has its part to play, yes, but
Mm-hmm.
it's also the internet, the technology, etc. So saying that is all the music, as all the videos is not fully right. I sorry, I just can't agree with that part.
Mm-hmm.
uh, there are multiple factors. Music is as part of that, but it's not as big of a
Mm-hmm.
factor as the use of the digital devices.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So you're saying, and listen, parents, guys, listen, because we have all different ages on here. Okay, it's important to listen. So you're. Hmm. But let me ask you, as an artist, do you feel pressured? You're 23 years old. You sing bashment soca,
No, just sweet soccer.
just sweet soca. Why you don't like bashment?
Not that I don't like Bashman, it's just not for me. I
You
can
don't.
listen to it. I just
You
it's not
sing
for me
when
to
you
perform. I'm a singer.
right. So you sing, right? I see what you're saying. You sing, Okay, all right. But do you feel, Ross, at any point? Do you feel pressured to be provocative in order to compete or to stay relevant? Like when you sit down to write, you write your own music?
Yes, please.
Wow, I tell you, man. Awesome. So do you ever feel like, boy, for this music to really go anywhere, and for me to be competitive, I need to be a bit more provocative in there, in my with my lyrics. I need to
Yeah,
do a,
always,
oh,
always. So, but
talk to me
with
about
that
that process.
situation, like
Uh-huh.
last year, I wrote a song named "Desperate." Right,
Mm-hmm.
"Desperate" was a song based on a man that's trying to convince his girlfriend, his wife, that he did not cheat. This is my friend that had my phone and did this. I was trying to create a storyline, right? I find that the song in my head, I know this song is a great song, right? I believe in this song, but when I have to compete with the other topics
Mm.
and the other like songs out there that are speaking about certain stuff,
Like what? Certain
my
stuff. Talk to
generation,
me. Talk to me.
my gen,
Certain stuff.
my generation is more going to lean towards the King Bubbas and the Jaguars, etc. Whereas to I grew up on Trinidadian Carnival and stuff, so I listen to a lot of Trini soca, a lot of
Mhm.
Grenadian soca, Saint Lucian, etc. Um, my song, I find that as hard as I was pushing my song, they didn't want to hear it, but I still keep pushing it because it's mine and I believe in this, and I think this is a great product and this is what I want to put forward.
Mm.
Um, it's obvious. No, no, you have to try to be smart in how you write your lyrics so that people can understand and they don't get lost, right? But I feel like the more thought that gets put into a song, the less people like it, and that's something that I'm
Mm.
seeing a lot of.
Wow, that is deep. The less thought you put in your song, the you believe the more the song is liked. So that interesting. So your deep song here calling desperate, and you are trying, probably trying to teach some morals and so on in the song. You found that people were not too interested. They want more of the King Bubbles. But so let me ask, let me Daniel, do you believe that you work with artists? You're the videographer. Do you believe that artists are feeling pressured by society
No,
to be provocative in order to compete and to stay relevant?
I feel like, to be honest, I feel like the artists are lazy and it's a lack of creativity
Thank you.
because holistically, Bashma Soka is actually, boy, in my opinion, I feel like Bashma Soka is a lazy genre. It's just, girls shake, bumper down to the ground over and over, some, just repeating just raucousness. But then if you look at one of the biggest soca songs that came out recently, Kes, Savannah Grass, that's a
Mm-hmm.
beautiful song.
Yeah.
And that's speaking of celebration. That's speaking of Trinidadian people coming together and celebrating, crossing the stage, crossing the Savannah Grass. A fantastic song. And you could listen to that around your kids. It's beautiful. And that was a big song down here too. And that song isn't crass or
But
lewd
hold a
or
minute. Do
raucous.
you know that song, Ross?
Yeah, I know that song.
And you like that song?
Yeah, I love that song.
You love that song, even though so the point he's making then, it's that the song is saying that the whole family could sing the song. Dave, I'm not sure. I wonder if we could play that one. If you tell us the
It's
name of
clean.
it.
It's clean. It's
Yeah,
Savannah Grass by
Savannah
Kes.
Grass. Dave, see if you find it and let's listen to a little bit because we want to understand,
It's
Sean.
clean. Hmm.
If you know, yeah, then you know, yeah. We all at the ground, yeah. We all in it down, yeah. We open the story. It's Savannah Juve morning. Everybody coming in. Eh. We ready to go, yeah. We gon' make them jump. We gon' make them turn up. We gon' make them
I realize I've heard it before. Thank you, Dave. Yeah, but like, I mean, when you think of that, I love that because I love soca, and I've been telling people, I tell people, Ross, I love bashment soca. Now they go crazy when I say that. They're like, I love the beat, I love the music of it, right? And I think that we can do a whole lot with that's a whole nother show. But like that song, I love that song. I love that song.
Yeah,
You
and it's
know,
Yeah,
and
clean.
a lot of people like it. A lot of people like it.
It's clean.
This is just the reality for most of Trinidad. Because if you
But
look
that's
at
my
last
point.
year,
It's in
the
Barbados
song
too.
that won, the song that won the road march in Trinidad was from Michael
Mikael
Teja,
Teja. Hmm.
right? Michael Teja. All these songs that
Clean.
basically get big over there have substance. Like
Correct.
last year, we saw a glimpse of that with Bruce Lee Almighty's
Hmm.
um,
Combat Carnival.
"Tomorrow."
Hmm.
That song is where I feel like we should have been ever since.
mm.
And that's my point. The music
Okay,
doesn't
so
have to
are
be
you
dirty.
agreeing,
It doesn't
Daniel?
have to be nasty.
Let me ask Ross and Sean this.
Hmm.
Let's go to Sean. Sean, you agree that it is laziness on the part of the artists, that it's not, because my question was, are do they have to do this in order to please to be relevant, they have to put the sexually provocative content. And Daniel said they're lazy because look at this song by Kess that everybody loved, even Russ loved the song, right? And Russ is 23. So you think it's laziness, Sean?
I think Daniel hit the nail on the head. It is absolute laziness and a lack of creativity. I'm one of the persons when a couple of years ago when the NCF was looking to introduce bashment to the junior monarch, I was one of the persons who supported it. And I received a lot of licks because people think that bashment has to be lewd and crude and vulgar. I could tell you that myself and Kid Sight for sure. I can't speak for other artists from older generations, but we can demonstrate to the entire island, to the entire region, that bashment is a genre. Bashment does not have to be everything raw and lewd and crude, because that's the easiest thing to do, right? That is the easiest thing to do. It's the laziest way to write a song. It's very
Mm,
repetitive. Everything
mhm,
is joke down, joke down, joke down, joke down, joke down. I mean, all the songs have the same topic, the same themes. Show me any other genre where that happens. It doesn't. And this song that on the screen, again, you have a story, you have lyrics, you have melody. That's why Lucy Almighty song took off. That's why Cass
mhm,
song Savannah Grass took off. Because
mhm,
a steel pan could start to play these tunes, and you could hear the movement, you could hear the melody. People would start to sway. When
mm,
when you listen to the lyrics of the song, you could actually picture the activities that the artists are singing. So all it takes is a little more time, a little more work, a little more creativity. So I agree, the artists are lazy, absolutely
mhm,
lazy. Some
mhm,
of them
Um,
also are insecure as artists. They don't have good managers, so they don't have a brand identity. So there's no
okay.
brand consistency. So whatever is happening, they jump on that bandwagon, and then people tell me that this person is a good artist manager, and this person. We have very few good artist managers in Barbados. We have booking
Mhm.
agents that are posing as artist managers, and that is a big part of the problem as well.
Yes. Well, someone is saying here that Kes gone international, so it did not inhibit him. He performed those songs on American morning TV shows, etc. So Ross, what is that telling us about what the people really want?
um,
Dave, could you
sorry,
just turn off a little bit? We're gonna play it.
sorry,
Just turn it up a little bit.
what
Thanks.
was the question again?
No, I was saying that this viewer says that Kes is gone now internationals, so it did not inhibit him, to sing about, not sing about, you know,
Savannah
um,
Grass.
right. He did
Yeah.
Savannah Grass, and it went,
Mhm.
and he performed those songs on American morning TV
Yeah,
shows and so on. So, is it
Uh,
that?
that has to do, I think, a lot with management as well.
correct.
So, as Patty said, there's a lot of artists
Right,
artists
there's
from
a noise in the background. I'm not sure where it's coming from. Okay, yeah, go ahead, please. Uh-huh.
There's a lot of promoters or booking agents
Mhm.
that are passed off as managers because of who they know.
Mm,
Um, I would say for me in my experiences coming up through the ranks through junior minor etc. Always wanted to be a part of a soca show, but never got that opportunity. It only came like during COVID. I had one opportunity, and that was my last year ever for being a junior, and that's where in this came from. I feel like everyone in that competition had a chance to write something that they felt was of substance and could help change people or change the narrative or help people get out of the depressive state that COVID had us in. We
mm.
If you ask any of the juniors from the first junior soccer monarch, they will tell you everybody like every time we talk, everybody was saying like I feel like we just need to give everybody a reason to be happy again. You know,
Oh,
that's where
Mhm.
and this came from, and that was a big shout to
what's
Treaty.
the name of it?
Pardon?
What was the name of the song you did?
No, the one that you played at the beginning and this together.
In this thing, right? Yes, and a lot of people. I went online and realized people loved it. People
Yeah.
loved your song, and you weren't, doing sexually explicit lyrics. But let's move the conversation along. And back. I want to start with Ross on this. Ross, do you apply to the NCF for funding for your songs, whether to produce them, or to do videos?
I tried.
You
I tried.
tried. Okay, you
Um,
say you tried, and what happened?
the the thing is that I never got through.
Mm.
So
You never got through. So okay, that's interesting. Dave just put, but I don't know if Dave could find. I'm going to get back to you, but some songs I showed Wednesday that were sponsored by the NCF. Just have those lined up for me. But continue, Ross. Continue.
I obviously have to come out of pocket for a lot of things and a lot of ideas, and that's why I feel so strongly about my music because I am the one that's putting the backing behind myself, and my dad also does production and stuff, so he has a hand in what and how I write and the songs I put out. So
Mm-hmm.
I write and I sing these sort of songs is because I always came up under him to back in our time, kids show, etc. And I saw how he did his thing and how he wrote his songs, and this is how I was taught. So this is how I can try to do it myself, but I can try to put my own spin on it. So it's not Ian Rusty Jr. or Rusty.
Yeah,
Sorry,
it's Ross
um, Richard Antonio Jr.
Junior.
That is that. So
Yes.
I now have to create my own identity
Yes.
from things. So I try to stray away from people locking me into Donella or Russellson because that can help. It can also hinder.
Yes.
So
Yes.
people in
Agree.
a box, and I don't want to be in that box. I want to be able to express myself and be my own artist.
Yes, very well said. Oh my goodness, that is
Mhm.
some level of maturity there. But you said something. He said something very important there, Sean
Mhm.
and Daniel. That I was asking about the if he ever submitted or asked for funding from the NCF, and he said he never got one, never got any help from the NCF. This is his lovely mom. They're always put together when she goes on a stage. I literally wait to see her outfits. I'm sorry, I wait because I mean she's a wonderful looking black woman, and she carries herself with class and dignity. That's a lady right there. But when you think about that, Sean, think about, oh, it's Daniel. I think it's Daniel. Daniel, this young man has just said that how when COVID, he sat down and he was trying to find songs. that to write songs. He and his friends write songs that will lift up people and make them happy.
Trouble
Okay.
in town when we
Okay, I think it started too early. Sorry about that. But and yet still, I mean, they know the brand that Ross has. Ross's brand is clean.
Yeah.
Ross, when you go online and you check Ross's song, I check you out in a Ross. Ross's songs are clean, very well done, nicely arranged because his father is like top tops, right? But he's saying he never got funding. What do you think about that? What are your thoughts on that, Daniel?
Music probably too clean. You probably gotta sing some Bashment Soca if you want funding.
See, yeah,
Unfortunately,
that's where the question came in. If I feel pressured to bend to the norms of the music
yeah.
industry.
Obviously, I'm being a little sarcastic, man. But realistically,
Yeah.
they got a new initiative called the Cultural Expansion Program, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I
Yeah,
think,
I hear
Marcia, we had
about
this discussion. We had this discussion a couple of days ago, I believe, where most of the videos, I think all of the videos that they've put out have been in that same Bashment Soca kind of arena. They're instructing the girls to do XYZ and go down to the ground and all this stuff. And this is it's the funding comes from a private the funding comes from the private sector, but the government through the cultural expansion program manages the allocation of said funding, right? And artists like Sprinkles, if you guys know who Sprinkles is,
Mm-hmm.
they put money in her video. Master Cerny, they put money in his video. Um, who else? I can't remember all the links off the top of my head, but Marcia would have sent them to you guys. And the songs across, they're just exactly like King Bubba's and Trey
Yeah.
Breezy's and Faith's and all of those.
Yeah.
And they got the funding quite easily. So,
Yeah.
Mm.
sarcastically, I'm saying you might have to, jump on the bandwagon. But
And
even though I'm
and
being sarcastic, I might be being a bit realistic too.
being realistic. Well, if Dave, we had some on the under here with the cultural expansion on, and I'm not sure if Ross has seen these or Sean. Sean have seen these. These were actually because it has the branding of the cultural expansion program, which is under the NCF
Yeah.
and or the Ministry
Very
of
new
Culture.
initiative too.
And these songs. So guys, if you have children right now, just send them into another room, right, for a couple seconds because of what we're going to show. Go ahead, Dave. You seen this one, Ross?
Yeah, I seen them.
Yo, don't writer, Master Tony.
Oh my gosh, this is lit. Blues a pit. I'm that. Buns like sun.
Okay, all right. Okay, Dave. So, Ross laughing. Ross, now you had Ross, Ross, Ross. You didn't get any funding. Those people got funding though.
Yeah, they did get funding. We had a couple friends that went and they got through with their funding as well. Um, I don't know if it is that my file got lost or something. I will continue to try.
That your what?
My file got lost or something. I will
Your
continue
file
to try.
got lost. So this is a 23. I want Barbados to hear this. This is a 23-year-old young man, Sean,
Mm-hmm.
and who is writing, trying to be as creative as possible with his music. And he's writing things, as he said, to be uplifting and but they're still very good. The compliments online on his music, very, very good. But the NCF, he has never received $1 from the NCF. As the president of BACA, What do you say to this young man
Well,
and about the situation?
right. So the Russ has been doing good music for years, and as Russ said, you can look back at the first junior soca competition, compare the content of that first show to the the last couple of years of the soca aspect or segment of the junior monarch competition, and you can see that there's a huge difference. One of the things that I've seen in so no, let me go back to the positive first. In that year, as Ross said, you listen to the content of the lyrics, excellent. You listen to the melodies, you see the performances, um, excellent, excellent, excellent. You compare that junior monarch competition to what we've seen in the last couple of years is like chalk and cheese, and I say that without apology and without exception. Ross as an artist, Ross as a young one, I always had time for Ross. Big props to Ross because there's a consistency. He's saying yes, yes, he now needs to build his brand, but Ross is already a brand. Like you said, Marcia, when you go online, you look at the comments on the underneath his songs, not just looking at the songs or the videos or listening to the lyrics, but when you listen to the feedback from the public, Ross is already a brand. So one of the things I want to touch on, even though you didn't directly ask me this question, but something that Danielle mentioned, is I think it's sad when whoever is supporting, whoever is working with a young artist like Sprinkles, that is encouraging her to go down the over sexualized lane that she's going down. Again, I say that without apology. You know what I mean? Whoever is giving guidance, direction, whoever is managing this young lady, they're doing a horrible job, right? Because as a young artist, you do not want your artist going down that road. Because what happens in this industry, I can tell you from my 25 years in this industry, Marcia, she will get used and abused and dumped. It has happened over and over and over without exception. There's none that start like that get away. So
Question.
if you, yeah, go ahead, Ross.
Um, so knowing her, right? Knowing
Mhm.
of her,
Right.
before she was an artist, etc. She she was a video girl, right?
Mhm.
So
When you
everything
say
she's
a
doing,
video girl, explain to us what when you say a video girl, what do you mean?
just females that are paid to be in videos to dance, etc. So like the one that you showing right now with Master Attorney and Blue, the girls that are in that video, that is what she was, or
Mm.
she was portraying herself as, right? So this is what she's known for.
Oh, okay.
So she, before she was an artist, this is what she was putting out there for herself. So it's hard. It is for she to change that. She more than likely more not gonna want to do it because she's never done anything other than that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Or if she did try, she was discouraged, or
Mm-hmm.
somebody tells you that ain't gonna work.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so she's basically doing what she's accustomed doing. But I
Yeah.
want to know, do you think Daniel, that the NCF, seeing that, I mean, we have witness to it here. This is a 23-year-old young man who wants to sing things that are uplifting and that are, very creative, and all the everything that's great. He want to be like Kes or bigger than Kes, right? Um, I mean, do you think that the NCF needs to have some kind of guidelines then, or some structure in place on how money is distributed and who money is distributed to?
I think so personally.
Why?
Because I feel like as a state-run organization, you're held to a higher standard
Agree.
than lending funding organizations in the private sector, right?
Yeah.
Because you have a budget that's allocated to you that is not necessarily profit driven, right? So, for example, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe they can host a show, right? use the budget that's allocated to them. And it's not profit driven. The success of that show is not profit driven, right? So, for example, you can hold a show and you can, book artists that sing clean music, or you instruct artists to only sing a certain type of music. And they're not under as much pressure as someone in the private sector, because they're not relying on ticket sales for the show to be successful,
Mhm.
right? So I feel like they're not limited to having to, rely on
Mm.
on crude lyrics and bashment soca for their shows, right? And I think that that's a part of the funding as well. If you're gonna say, well, okay, the child care board is reporting that sexual acts are going up in schools. Okay, as a state-run organization, what can we do? How about let's not give $5,000 to $30,000 to artists to do videos that are promoting, these lewd acts publicly, right? That's just my opinion. I feel like they have a part to play. I feel like they have, because a lot of soca artists rely on the NCF throughout the crop over season to earn money.
Mhm.
They rely on the shows, they rely on the grants, they rely on the technical assistance, so on and so forth.
Mhm.
Fine. If they're gonna rely on it, you can influence the trajectory of their art. Because if you tell them, all
Yeah.
right,
Mm.
we're gonna give you $30,000 for an album, or $30,000 for a video, or whatever, but we're not gonna be funding videos that are promoting these sexual acts and so on and so forth. The artist wants the money.
Yeah.
So they're going to do a cleaner video. They're gonna change the message to receive that money. Now, fine, they may still perform those songs in a show in the private sector, whatever. But at least as a state-funded organization, you are trying to influence the artists to go in a different direction. That's just my opinion.
Mhm, mhm.
Yeah.
Ross, what do you agree with what Daniel is saying? Do you think that that could actually work?
Yeah, I do believe that it can work, because at the end of the day, being an artist is a job. So you do it for somewhat funding. So a lot of
Mhm,
people do it because it's fun, but at the end of the day, you're still doing it because it's another means of financial support. You know,
mhm,
um, I myself, I only got to perform at one NCF event, and that was Sweet Lime. Um,
in your whole
it-
career?
no, this is just at my whole career, just one. As a soca artist, it was just the Sweet Lime last year, and I went out there. I also did another song that I wrote for um some other youngsters. It was like four of us on one song. So we got to go out there and perform. It was a lot of fun. I got to engage with the children, etc. That was the highlight of my crop over last year. Um, Given that I am a calypsonian as well, and I do sing a pickety crop. I don't necessarily count that as uh, like
Is
wait, oh,
is
pardon?
more pick it crop with competition as
It's
opposed to
competition.
yeah.
So
Competition,
I
right?
so I don't consider it like a sweet line where again to perform on a stage for people to enjoy it.
Yes,
Just
I
just
understand.
for soul enjoyment.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm,
So
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Marcia, I want to address a myth that I saw. I can't remember who the person was, but in this chat, somebody was saying that lewdness is lucrative. My question is where? Surely working. When you look at Cass, and Cass has crossed over. Cass has done something that soca artists have been trying to do for years. So we've had a trend where Barbadian artists have been trying to get into Trinidad, and Trinidad artists have been trying to get into the USA. And I've said from even before COVID, why are we trying to get into Trinidad when there's a whole world out there that we need to get into, that we need to tap into, right? For me personally, again, I've said this to BACA artists as well. Why you limit yourself to the US market? When you look to Asia, Africa, right? If you get 10% of that market, is more than 90% of the US market. So in my brain, in my thinking, and even when I put on my business cap, you're wasting time because we're doing two things that are wrong. We're trying to get into Trinidad while the Trinidadians trying to get out of Trinidad, which means we always one step behind. For me, does not make sense business wise, does not make sense as a creative, doesn't make sense, period. Right? The bashment soca that we are promoting, and when I say we, I say that now as a nation, I say that regrettably, as if I was part of the NCF. But we as a nation, we there's two things. We say we have spooge, and we say we don't have spooge anymore, so now we have bashment. And we think that the form of bashment that we have now, that it can be cleaned up, right? And that we have to swallow and accept what the artists are giving us now. That's a joke because none of these artists have gone anywhere. If you tell me they made a Trinidad on the ground, not even Trinidad on the surface. They have not penetrated.
So your bottom line is that lewdness is not necessarily lucrative, not
It's
for
not.
us here. It
It's
has
not.
not worked. It has not worked for
Has not.
soca.
For none of them.
Daniel, and then we're gonna move on to another point. Go ahead,
That's to
Daniel.
me, that's such a fantastic point. And I agree with that wholeheartedly. Right? Bashment soca is only really consumed by a small sector of Barbadians in Barbados.
Correct.
The
Facts.
artists don't get booked in Trinidad. They don't get booked in Jamaica. They don't get booked in St. Lucia. They don't get booked in the US. They don't get
Nowhere.
oh look at nowhere. Look at Kes. Kes has got a song Cocoa Tea, which the spirit of it is a little risque, but there's artistry behind it. It's if you break down the lyrics, it is he's singing about sex, but in a sweet way. It's not overtly sexual,
Overtly,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Good. It's not overt,
It's not
and
raw.
it's no, it's not raw. It's
Yeah.
artistry. It's artistry. It's music. The songs that make it in the US and make it in all these other markets they're making music. Our bashment soca artists are just trying to make lewd statements, in my opinion. To me, again, it's lazy. There's
Easy.
no artistry. There's no
Correct.
creativity.
But
Same beat, same lyrics,
Same theme.
but
Everything.
look at
same
my
right.
screen. Look at my screen. Somebody's saying because this is what Ross has lived it.
Mm.
Ross has lived this. Ross is look at this. Lewdness is lucrative in Barbados.
Can I
Look at the
counter that
artists
immediately?
who getting work.
I can
Really?
counter that immediately.
Uh-huh.
Lewdness is lucrative in Barbados. How many bashment soca? I challenge the person that made that comment to tell me how many bashment soca artists can provide for their family solely off of the earnings from their bashment soca.
Thank you, Daniel.
To me, if you cannot provide for your family or for your artistry, that cannot be lucrative.
Correct.
How can it be lucrative? Yeah, you may earn $10,000 or $15,000 for the season, but $15,000 across 12 months, that doesn't seem that lucrative to me.
Facts. And where they're getting work, Marcia, they're getting work on cruises.
Ah,
So what's a cruise? Again, it goes back to the mindset and the mentality. Are you a serious artist? Right? Are you looking to make a living from this thing? Can people take you? Are you professional? Can people take you serious at your craft? Do you take yourself serious? Or are you just singing for food, singing for a drink, singing to perform at a cruise? Rubbish.
and singing for 3 months. You realize the artistry, the bashment soca artists only put out music within this very specific proposal window. Are they really artists? Are they really working at their craft? Are they really studying? Are they really understanding what it takes to put together a song? Or are you just going on a random beat and again, whine to the ground, jump down this, jump down that, skin out this, and throwing it out there?